welcome back to Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. We're back today with my 1956 Volkswagen Beetle, which we're not working on in this video because I'm actually a little bit burned out on it. It just seems like everything I did on this car last week was gas tank, fuel tank, gas tank. It starts raining. F***ers. Enough. Time to work on something else. So today we're going to have a walk around my CR500 here. I'm way behind on this project, far behind. I wanted this thing together years ago, but just things happen in your life and sometimes you just can't always keep up. Anyway, I'm at a loss and what I need to do with this. I'm really forgetting a lot of what needs to be done. So we're going to have a video checklist and we're going to walk around this bike, and I do really well with checklists. If I have a checklist in front of me, I'll accomplish every task from top to bottom. And that's one of the reasons why I built so many Volkswagens in the past several years, is because I had a checklist spelled out and it was real easy to just go down it. And I'm going to do the same for this bike, and we're also going to do the same for the Doodle Bastard over there, but that's a story for another video. Anyways, like I said, we're going to have a walk around this one to figure out what we need to do. As always, please give me a likey on this video. You know, give me that thumbie. Always like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And don't forget that I have some other channels besides Duckman Cycles. I've also got Skeeter the Duck, and I've also got VV the Duck VV. So don't miss a thing and check out my other channel. One more thing, don't forget to join my Facebook group page, Duckman Cycles. Head on over to Facebook, type in Duckman Cycles, and you'll find not only my business page, but you also find my group page. And hop on that group page there and join the discussion. We're not only talking about the CR500, but we're also talking about Volkswagens and whomever else uploads their project. You can share your project, or if you just found something cool that you like, I don't know, picture of boobies. Not really. We like them, but we don't want to be kicked off of Facebook. So no boobies, sorry guys. So we're going to have a walk around this bike and figure out what it is that we need to do to finish this thing up. So thank you very much for watching, appreciate it. So I started speaking so fast and loud in my videos, and that's because I'm a fast and loud person. I'm getting a little better about rehearsing these things and putting my ideas together and thoughts and, you know, whatever else that I've got before I jump into these videos. But, you know, I'm fast and I'm loud because I'm from New Jersey. I can't help it. Maybe you can hear the way I speak. I'm not the one with the accent. You are. People from New Jersey don't have accents. No, we don't. But anyway, this here is a radiator because I'm from New Jersey. You might call it something else where you live, but it rhymes with gladiator. It's spelled almost the same. Just a difference of a couple letters. Anyway, I'm not out to insult anybody. That was just a little joke. So anyway, this is my CR500. This has been an idea that I've been kicking around since about 1992, let's say. That was way back when I got the Pook moped over there. I've always wanted a two-stroke full-sized motorcycle, and I didn't want a dirt bike. Now, a dirt bike is cool. Motards didn't exist yet like you know them today. But I always wanted to build a bike, something lightweight, two-stroke, loud, fast, like me. And this is what I put together. Now, if you remember originally, this bike wasn't a CR250 aluminum frame on here. This is actually a dirt bike frame. Originally, I put this engine into the SV650. The SV650 that I bought it, it had a bad engine. I rebuilt the engine, and within about a day of running, the bearings went out on it again. So apparently there was some other lubrication problem inside that engine. I don't know what it was exactly. Probably one of the passageways had a block in it or something. I had very minimal invested in that except for some time, so I really wasn't too concerned about it. CR500 was the idea. I bought a CR500 engine. I made an adapter from an old CR500 cradle and bolted it into the SV650. That bike got so much attention on YouTube, and my YouTube channel was very small at that time. Still very small, actually, compared to some of the other guys. But I mean, my YouTube channel was actually a lot smaller then than it is now. But anyway, with that said, videos just exploded all of a sudden. I had this very quick explosion of new subscribers and new viewers. And I think the SV650 video, and I have to look again, but I think it's got 250,000 views. And I wanted to finish that bike, but I had problems with the Kickstarter on it. I had A-Bomb make me a special Kickstarter shaft, and Unfortunately, the couple different welding methods that he tried on it, they weren't strong enough, they weren't hard enough. No matter what I did, I always managed to bust that shaft off. And it only took, first kick, and that thing would just shear right off, and I mean, it was a mess. So I got a little sick and tired of that. I decided to shift gears. The SV650 frame is too big and too heavy. Well, I didn't quit. I'm not a quitter. Just got a better idea. The CR250 frame came into existence, and you may have seen the company out in California that builds the CR500 AF bikes. I believe right now they're actually using a CRF450 bike platform. That's good. It's modern, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the way they used to do is they used to build them in the old two-stroke CR250 frames. So this is copying their idea. This wasn't my own idea. This was a copied idea. Because I wanted it streetable, and I didn't want a tall bike looking motorcycle, I wanted something small, sport bikey. This bike is actually, what I built here is significantly shorter than that of a sport bike by like 7 or 8 inches, so that ought to make it turn pretty quickly because the wheelbase is so short. It's also really light. This bike, with finally get it all put together, it's probably going to be just a little over 200 pounds. Right now, I can actually just pick it up. Just pick it right up off the ground. And I'm kind of a big guy, so I mean, that's not saying much, but the bike isn't that heavy. But anyway, that's what I built. Up on the front end here is actually a Suzuki GSXR 600 forks, and it's also got the 600 fender on there. The wheel on the front is actually off a CBR 600 F3. It was a style that they used back in the 90s, which is sort of making a comeback. People are really wanting these older style wheels on their modern sport bikes. So I scored one of those. The brakes on there are stock Suzuki also. The clip-ons, however, are CBR parts. It's also got a CBR top triple tree, and the bottom triple tree is from a Suzuki. We made these all fit. The steering stem that's in there is actually the original one that belongs to the triple tree to the CR250 frame. A-Bomb 79 helped me to press that triple tree apart and press the new triple tree together. The diameters of these tree parts were actually the same. So the bearings that belong in here, actually everything fits. It's almost like it was meant to be. Press it apart, press the other parts in, it was a quick switch out. And it was on there, so that worked out really good. The rear end, however, this is not an F3 wheel, this is actually a CBR 600 F2 wheel. And why did I choose a 2 over a 3 instead of having them both match? Well, the 2 was an earlier bike, and it actually had a narrower rim. And it was important to go more narrow because the swing arm that's on here, which actually belongs to a CR250, doesn't fit a bigger or wider wheel. I was going to have fitment issues if I went any wider, and I believe the other wheel was wider by about ½ an inch, and you can see just how close the clearance is on there. So if I put a wider wheel on this bike, I was going to have issues with it. I mean, everything is really close. The chain, really close to the tire. It just wasn't a good idea. I wanted skinny wheels, skinny tires. That was the concept that I'm going with here. The rear subframe is actually from a CR125, also dirt bike. I believe the same subframe fits on a CR250. I believe it's the exact same parts. That one was actually intended for a CR125. I couldn't find a 250 one, so I did a search for a 125, found they were the same, and it fit. So I got lucky there. That shock, I'm trying to remember what that's from. I want to say it's from a Kawasaki Ninja 600, I believe it is. It might be from 1000, a 1-liter bike. I really don't remember. I'm going to have to go back and look at some of these videos. Like I said, it's been so long since I've worked on this thing. I don't have a full list of the details, but it's covered in one of my earlier videos. The rear set, however, is truly unique and special. This is actually off a Yamaha R6. The brake is also an R6 brake. And A-Bomb over there helped me to have the thing cut on his mill. And it had to take, I don't know, maybe about 1/4 of an inch off of it. But otherwise, it slotted right on to that, and this is crazy, slotted right onto that swing arm, and it fit over the disc that the F2 used on that wheel, because they both had the same thickness and diameter disc. So that caliper is also an R6. And it was amazing that that stuff fit as well together with just some minor milling, and bloop, bolted right on. But what do we need to do with this bike? Well, the first thing that's most obvious is it doesn't have a front brake. And the reason why it doesn't have a front brake is because when I rebuilt the SV650, which is currently underneath those blankets, I needed a front brake caliper for the GSXR SRAD triple trees and, what did I put on there? GSXR, I think 1000 forks on the front. So anyway, I got the set. It was a great mismatched set that I had put all these pieces together for the SV. And then I needed a front brake master cylinder because I didn't have one. So I quickly turned to this, unbolted, and bolted it right on there, and the SV was finished. That's great. This bike is going to need one of those. Okay? It's also going to need some type of wiring harness, and I'm thinking I can get one from a CBR 600, the same year as these switches, and then doing like they do to the Subaru swaps when they put it into other dune buggies and Volkswagens, cut up the harness and remove all the fuel injection stuff that I don't need. I can get those really cheap off of a very popular auction website. So that shouldn't be too big of a deal. I'm going to need a clutch cable. I believe I've got one. I've got to dig through my stuff and make sure it's the right length. If it's not the right length, some minor adjustments, and I should be able to get it to fit. I don't think we need to make that into a big deal. The engine needs a head stay. The CR500 engine and the CR250 engine are different, and these brackets don't exist. I'll actually have to do a little bit of cutting from some thick steel plate, and I'll run one arm to here, one arm to here, and then probably one arm diagonally across. That will make it really firm. Some people say you can omit that. Other people say it makes a ton of vibration. It's not a big deal to make that part, so I'll spend a couple hours doing it and making it right. So we'll get that set up in there the way it should be. The rear sets need to be mounted, and you probably saw that in the last video. I made these mounting holes for it, and I got the rear set put on the front here, but the trouble was the Kickstarter would foul the rear set. So what I figured out I'm going to do is I'm going to mount it back about 2 inches further to the rear, and it's still going to conflict with the brake pedal, but it's going to not conflict with the foot peg. So I'm going to get a brake pedal that folds up, and those do exist. Usually they're spring-loaded. I'll just have to make some kind of mechanism to lock it in a flip-up position, so that way it'll keep it up and out of the way. I'm going to need some kind of silencer, so we need to do something with that. Again, that's not too big of a deal. That could be made to happen. You know, they bolt right on stock. This rear subframe may or may not stay. I don't really like the angles or proportions of it, so it might go away. Also need to get a gas tank for this. And I'm thinking I could probably get a sport bike gas tank, because they have that same general shape, but they're much more skinny. So what I'll do is I'll cut the cap out of it, remove that, cut a couple inches out of the middle of the tank, sandwich the two pieces together, cut out the opening for the gas cap again, and weld that right back in. It might reduce my capacity a little bit, but since the bottom of the tanks are generally, you know, they're horseshoe shaped to clear the tops of the valve covers on the engines, I could probably actually increase the capacity by making a new bottom in the tank. So I'll think about that. I've got a friend's shop here in town. They have about 100 gas tanks hanging up on ropes across their ceiling. So I'll grab a few tanks and measure some things up and figure out what we got here to see what's going to look best on this bike with some modifications. The rear set on this side needs to be done also, but until I get the right side figured out, I can't do the left. The left is going to be easy, but the right side here, like I said, I need to get that exact distance. I think it's going to be about 2 inches. But this side doesn't have a kicker to worry about, so I'll just put it on accordingly, and then I'll have to come up with some kind of linkage that will come from between this arm to the rear set that's over here with the shifter that's already on it. So I'll have some kind of linkage attached between those two. So shift linkage is going to have to be custom made, and I'm probably going to have to use that shifter arm, so that way it has the appropriate sized splines to fit over the shaft that goes into the engine. Let's see. This radiator here is a little bit beat up, but it doesn't leak, so that's not too big of a deal to me. It's going to be wrapped up probably in some kind of plastics anyway. It also needs to be mounted, so I need to get that set up. I need to find some missing hardware for it. I've also need to attach the cooling hoses. There's a cooling hose in here that needs to be connected. Then there's the output over here. Or is that the input? Yeah, that's the input. The input actually comes off of a spout. And there it is, right over here. That spout attaches to that input. Then that output goes into this input. And then it comes out of the top of the cylinders through two hoses, and then attaches back up to the radiator up here. See, I said radiator that time, you guys. That should give me a complete bike. And that should give me something that I can ride once that's all together and the brakes are bled and I have a tank fully fueled with gas. I don't see any reason why I couldn't ride it at that point. If I'm planning to put it on the street, and I am, it's going to get lights. And this is where I'm glad that I've waited so long to get this project together. Because CR500 engines don't have a good generator in them. I think the biggest generator you can get is about a 50 watt. And 50 watt, if you do the math, is only a little over 4 amps. With 4 amps of power, you can't really power a proper headlight. It can charge a small battery, however, and then the battery can charge the headlight. But that's what I used to do on the Pook, actually, because I think the coil on there made even smaller wattage. But I used to charge a small battery during the day, and then when I turned the turn signals on, it would be powered off of a battery. So anyway, like I said, I'm glad that I waited so long on the lights, because what has happened over the last 10 years that I've been working on this thing, and yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 10 years since I started working on this thing, but technology has advanced, and now we have proper LED headlights that use very, very little amperage, very, very little wattage required for power requirements. So with the 50-watt generator installed, I should be able to power dual headlights and high beams as well. And I'll flip-flop between the two of them. There's no reason for lows and highs to be on at the same time. With some LED taillights, and I actually have an LED taillight for this already, as well as a tail for it, but I don't know if I'm going to use that. I might actually do a little bit of metal forming and form my own little tailpiece. I don't know if I want to put the fairings on this bike anymore. I think I've changed my mind a little bit on it. I think I'd rather go with a naked look. Just it's much rougher and tougher. That exhaust area, you see, does have a dent in it. I think I got it for 25 bucks because it was dented, but, you know, it's got a dent in it, so what? All I gotta do is weld a little bolt to it or something, use a slide hammer, I can pull a dent right out of it. So why does that bother me? The exhaust is not all cracked up, it's not all messed up, twisted, knurled, you know, it's just it's got a dent in the side of it. Obviously somebody went down on their CR500, but I got that thing really, really cheap. So that's where we're at with this bike. I want to start doing 2 updates on it a month. What I'll do is every other week, I'll pick a day of the week. It'll probably be like a Saturday. We'll call it the CR500 Saturday. And bi-weekly, I'll put up some kind of update with some kind of progress as to what we're doing on this bike. And hopefully, by the end of the year, because really this stuff is so simple, I just need the time to do it, I should have a complete working bike. And a complete working rideable bike is probably the best way to put it. Whether or not I'll actually have it on the street yet is yet to be determined. It depends on how quickly it's going on. I do have to finish the CR500. Car. I do need to finish the Beetle as much as I can for the car show that's coming up in late October. So I really need to keep working on that, even though I'm really getting burnt out on it. But I need to get that thing done. I'd also like to take the Doodle Bastard to that same car show too. It's air cool, and you know it's brethren. Boy, that's a damn mess over there. I threw a whole bunch of the duck's laundry up on top. But anyway, yeah, the Doodle Bastard also needs to be done for the car show, because that's going to be my little pit bike. It's going to make a whole lot of noise, and I'm going to ride it like a hooligan around the car show. Also, there'll be a roof rack up on top of the oval, because that's how we're going to carry that bike around. Because it's going to be too ridiculous not to have something like that. Well, anyway, again, thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give me a thumbie, give me a subby, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this bike, and if you have any good suggestions as to something that I can do on this bike, or something to make it easier to get it finished, or, you know, if you know where to pick up some, you know, inexpensive or cheap parts, or maybe, hey, you even have something and you can help me out. You know, I'll be glad to listen to you. Let's see what we can talk about. Don't forget to pluck that little dingle belly that's next to the subscribe button so you get an update every time I put up a new video. And don't forget, I do have a couple other channels. There's Duckman Cycles, there's VV the Duck VV, and Skeeter the Duck, and I've got a Facebook page now where you can go ahead and talk to me about these projects. You know, let's discuss. Head on over to Facebook, look up Duckman Cycles, click the join button, and join the conversation. Share your own projects. Love to see what you have. And as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys are the ones that motivated me to bring this thing back out of the back bedroom. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'm repeating myself repeatedly, but it's awfully fun. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time.